Dr. Kira Velthara pressed her long fingers against the smooth control panel of the research. Ship Harmony's grace. The blue lights flickered weakly, casting strange shadows across her pale face. Her large eyes, black as deep space, reflected worry as she watched the readings drop lower and lower. Status report, she called to her crew in their musical language that sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Engineer Zeph Velmorin looked up from his station, his thin frame hunched over sparking circuits. The collision damaged our main drive core. We are losing power fast. Life support will fail in 6 hours, maybe less. Kira closed her eyes. The asteroid field had seemed safe enough when they arrived 3 days ago. Her team of scientists came here to study the rare crystals that grew on the floating rocks. The Velani people were known across the galaxy for their peaceful research and gentle ways. They never expected danger in this quiet corner of Space Dot, but space had its own plans. A piece of debris, no bigger than Kira's hand, had struck there. Ship at incredible speed. The impact tore through their hull and destroyed their main engines. Now they were drifting, powerless and alone. Can you fix it? Kira asked, though she already knew the answer. Seth shook his head sadly. The damage is too great. We need parts we do not have, tools we do not carry. I am sorry, Dr. Velthara. The research team gathered around their leader. 12 Velani. Scientists, all brilliant minds, all far from home. They looked at Kira with trust in their dark eyes, waiting for her to find a solution. But for the first time in her long career, she had no answers. We must send a distress signal, she decided. Someone might hear us. Who would come? Asked Dr. Nelvara, the team's biologist. We are far from Velani space. The nearest trade routes are weeks away. Even if someone hears us, we will be dead before they arrive. Kira walked to the communications station. Her hands trembled as she activated the emergency broadcast system. The old equipment hummed to life, sending their cry for help into the vast darkness of space not far away, in a different part of the galaxy. Commander Jake Mitchell sat in the captain's chair of the heavy cruiser Iron Wolf. The human warship moved through space like a predator hunting in the deep ocean. Its hull was dark gray, covered in weapons and armor. It spoke of humanity's violent history. Jake was reviewing patrol reports when his communications officer looked up from her station. Sir, I'm picking up something strange, said Lieutenant Amy Brooks. She was young for her rank, with short brown hair and sharp green eyes that missed nothing. It's very faint, but it looks like a distress signal. Jake leaned forward in his chair. What kind of signal? Old frequency, sir. Really old. Most species stopped using this channel centuries ago. The signal is weak and breaking up, but it's definitely a call for help. Jake stood up and walked to Amy's station. On her screen, he could see the faint pulse of the emergency beacon. Numbers scrolled past, showing the signal's origin point. How far away? He asked. About 6 hours at maximum speed, sir. But there's a problem. Amy's face grew serious. The coordinates put them right on the edge of Krex territory. Jake felt his jaw tighten. The Krex Empire was known throughout the galaxy for their cruelty. They enslaved weaker species and destroyed anyone who got in their way. If there was a ship in distress near their space, time was running out fast. What do we know about the ship sending the signal? Jake asked. Amy worked at her controls, trying to pull more information from the weak transmission. Not much, sir. The signal is too degraded. But the frequency and transmission pattern suggest it might be Velani. Velani? Jake had heard of them. Peaceful researchers and scientists. They had never hurt anyone, never fought wars, never even carried weapons. On their ships. If they were trapped near Krex space, they were as good as dead. Sir, Amy continued, if we respond to this, we'll be going deep into hostile territory. The Kreks will not be happy to see a human warship in their neighborhood. Jake thought about this. Humans had a reputation in the galaxy. Most alien species called them Deathworlders, savage predators from a brutal planet where only the strongest could survive. They feared human ships and avoided human space. Even the Kreks gave humans a wide berth, unsure of what the strange mammals from Earth might do. But Jake knew something that most aliens did not understand. Humans might be predators, but they were also protectors. They could not ignore a cry for help, especially from someone as harmless as the Vellani. Set course for those coordinates, Jake ordered. Maximum speed, sir? Amy looked surprised. Just us? Shouldn't we call for backup? Jake smiled grimly. Send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them we have a rescue situation and might need support. But don't wait for orders. Every second we delay might mean lives lost. As the Iron Wolf changed course and accelerated toward the distress signal, Jake felt the familiar weight of command on his shoulders. He did not know what they would find. When they arrived, he did not know if they would be in time to help. But he knew one thing for certain. No one would die alone. While humans drew breath, the ship's engines roared louder as they pushed toward maximum speed. In the depths of space, a small research vessel drifted helplessly while its crew waited for a miracle. They had no idea that their simple distress call had just summoned the most dangerous predators in the galaxy to their rescue. Admiral Lisa Carter sat in her command center on Earth, staring at the message that had just arrived from the Iron Wolf. The holographic display showed Jake Mitchell's face, serious and determined as he explained the situation. A Vellani research. Ship in distress, 6 hours from Krek's territory, she repeated to herself. Lisa had been in the Earth Defense Fleet for 25 years. She had seen first contact with dozens of alien species. She knew how the galaxy worked, and she knew what happened to peaceful species when they encountered the wrong predators. Communications, she called to her staff. Get me fleet command for all sectors. Priority Alpha. Within minutes, the screens around her command center lit up with the faces of human commanders from across known space. Captain Ryan Stone of the destroyer Night Fury was closest to Jake's position. Captain Nina Ross commanded the battlecruiser Savage Thunder 2 sectors. Away. A dozen other ships reported their positions and readiness. Situation report, Lisa began, her voice calm but urgent. We have a Vellani research vessel in distress near hostile territory. Commander Mitchell is responding, but he may need backup. How? Many Vellani? Asked Captain Stone. He was an older man with gray hair and scars on his face from past battles. 12 scientists, peaceful researchers with no weapons or defenses. The faces on the screens grew hard. Every human commander understood what this meant. The Vellani were like children lost in a dangerous neighborhood. If the Kreks found them first, those scientists would either be enslaved or killed. Orders, Admiral? Asked Captain Ross. She was younger than Stone, with dark skin and fierce eyes that had seen too much death in the void. Lisa made her decision. All available ships converge on these coordinates. This is a full rescue operation under the Protection Protocol. No one gets left behind. The Protection Protocol was something unique to humanity. Other species in the galaxy fought wars for territory, resources, or revenge. But humans had learned something different during their violent history on Earth. They had learned that true strength came from protecting those who could not protect themselves. Admiral, said Captain Stone, if we send that many ships, the Kreks will think we're invading their territory. This could start a war. Let them think what they want, Lisa replied. 12 innocent people are going to die if we don't act. I'd rather explain our actions to the Galactic Council than explain to myself why we let civilians die. One by one, the human ships changed course. The Night Fury was fastest and would arrive first. The Savage Thunder would be there an hour later. Behind them came cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels. By the time the rescue was complete, nearly 50 human warships would be in the area. Back on the drifting Harmony's Grace, Dr. Kira Velthara watched her crew work desperately to keep their ship alive. The air was getting thin, and the temperature was dropping. They had maybe 4 hours of life support left. Any response to our distress call? She asked. Communications specialist Vextaler shook his head. Nothing yet. But the signal is very weak. Maybe no one can hear us. Kira tried to stay hopeful, but she knew the truth. They were too far from civilization, too close to dangerous space. The Velani were a peaceful people who had never made enemies, but they had never made powerful friends either. Who would risk their lives to save a small research team? That was when Vex Taylor suddenly sat up straight, his large eyes wide with surprise. Dr. Velthara, I am receiving a transmission. Someone is responding to our distress call. Kira's heart jumped. Who? What species? Vex Taylor worked at his controls, trying to clean up the incoming signal. The transmission is. It is coming from a human ship. The entire crew fell silent. Even in their desperate situation, the word human caused fear. Every species in the galaxy had heard the stories. Humans came from a death world, a planet so violent that only the most savage predators could survive. They were ruthless warriors who had conquered their own world through endless wars. Are you certain? Kira asked, her voice barely a whisper. Yes. The ship identifies itself as the Iron Wolf, a human military vessel. They are requesting information about our condition and estimated time until life support failure. Kira stared at the communication panel. This was not what she had expected. The humans were known for their aggression, their violent nature. Why would they respond to a peaceful research vessel? What did they want? Open a channel, she decided. If they were going to die anyway, at least she could learn what the humans intended. The screen flickered to life, showing the face of a human male. Kira had never seen a human before, but she knew they were smaller than Vellani, with shorter limbs and different colored skin. This one had brown hair and blue eyes that seemed to look right through her. This is Commander Jake Mitchell of the Earth Defense Fleet, the human said in perfectly clear Vellani language. We received your distress signal and are responding to assist. Please report your current status and any injuries among your crew. Kira was so surprised she almost forgot to answer. The human's voice was calm, professional, and most surprising of all, concerned. This was not the savage aggression she had expected. I am Dr. Kira Velthara of the Vellani Research Council, she managed to say. We have 12 crew members, no serious injuries, but our life support will fail in approximately 4 hours. Understood. We will reach your position in 5 hours. Can you extend your life support for 1 additional hour? Engineer Zeph spoke up from his station. We can try, but it will be dangerous. We might lose life support completely if we push the system too hard. Commander Mitchell nodded. Do what you can safely. We have additional ships coming to assist. You will not be abandoned. The transmission ended, leaving the Vellani crew in stunned silence. A human had just promised to save them. The most feared predators in the galaxy were coming to help. I do not understand, said Dr. Nelvara. Why would humans risk themselves for us? We have nothing they could want. Kira stared at the dark screen where the human's face had been. I do not know, but he seemed genuine, like he truly wanted to help us. What none of them knew was that more human ships were already changing course toward their position. The Night Fury had increased to maximum speed, pushing its engines beyond safe limits. Behind it, the Savage Thunder was doing the same. And from Earth itself, Admiral Carter was coordinating the largest rescue operation in human history. The Vellani thought they were alone and forgotten in the cold void of space. They had no idea that 50 human warships were racing to save 12 alien scientists they had never met. They could not imagine that an entire species of predators had just decided that their lives were worth any risk, any cost, any sacrifice. Deathworlder Armada was coming, and nothing in the galaxy would stop them. The Iron Wolf dropped out of hyperspace with a thunderous roar of its engines. Commander Jake Mitchell gripped his command chair as the massive warship slowed from impossible speeds to a gentle drift near the disabled Vellani vessel. Visual contact, reported Lieutenant Amy Brooks from her sensor station. The Harmony's Grace is 3 kilometers off our starboard side. Hull damage visible, no engine activity. Life support reading critical but stable. Jake studied the alien ship on his main screen. It was beautiful in its own way, with flowing curves and soft blue lights that reminded him of artwork rather than engineering. So different from the angular, armored bulk of human vessels. "Sir," Amy continued, "I'm reading multiple human ships approaching. The Night Fury will be here in 20 minutes. Good. Open a channel to the Vellani ship. Dr. Kira Velfaras." Face appeared on the screen again, and Jake could see the exhaustion in her large dark eyes. Behind her, other Vellani crew members worked at their stations, moving with the slow, careful actions of people trying to conserve oxygen. "Dr. Velfara, this is Commander Mitchell. We're going to dock with your ship and begin repairs. My engineering team is standing by." Kira looked confused. "Dock with us? But your ship is so much larger, and our docking systems are not compatible with human technology." Jake smiled. "We've been studying alien ship designs for decades. Our engineers can adapt. Chief Rodriguez, report to the docking bay with your team." Chief Petty Officer Ben Rodriguez was already moving before Jake finished speaking. At 35, Ben had worked on ships from a dozen different species. His toolkit contained adapters, converters, and universal interfaces that could connect to almost any alien technology. "On my way, sir. Team Alpha is ready with emergency life support and repair equipment." As the Iron Wolf slowly moved toward the smaller research vessel, more human ships began arriving. The Night Fury materialized first, its sleek destroyer frame bristling with weapons. Then came the Savage Thunder, massive and intimidating with its battlecruiser armor. Dr. Kira watched in amazement as more ships appeared. Each one was larger and more heavily armed than the entire Vellani defense fleet. She counted 10, then 20, then stopped counting as the human vessels formed a protective circle around her tiny research ship. "So many," she whispered to her crew. "Why are there so many?" The answer came from an unexpected source. As Chief Rodriguez and his team successfully docked with the Harmony's Grace, the human engineer was the first to step aboard the alien vessel. He moved carefully, respectfully, as if he were entering a sacred temple. "Dr. Velfara?" Ben said in careful but clear Vellani language. "I'm Chief Rodriguez. We're here to help." Kira stared at the human. He was shorter than her people, with brown skin and kind eyes. His tools and equipment looked advanced, but not threatening. Most surprisingly, he was smiling. "You learned our language," she said, amazed. "Our communications specialist is very good at his job," Ben replied. "Now, let's see what we can do about your engines." What followed was unlike anything in Kira's experience. The human engineers worked with incredible skill and efficiency, but they also worked with care. They asked permission before touching anything. They explained what they were doing. They treated the Vellani ship and crew with perfect respect. Dr. Karen White, the Iron Wolf's medical officer, arrived with her team to check on the Vellani crew. She was a woman in her 40s, with gentle hands and a calm voice that made even the Most nervous Vellani feel safe. Just routine checks, she explained as she examined each crew member with her medical scanners, making sure you didn't suffer any injuries from the accident or problems from the low oxygen. Communications specialist Tyler Murphy set up a translation system that allowed the two species to talk more easily. He was young, maybe 25, with bright eyes and an enthusiasm for learning new languages that reminded Kira of her own. "Students, your language is beautiful," Tyler told her as he worked. "Like music. I've never heard anything like it." Kira found herself relaxing for the first time since the accident. These humans were nothing like the savage warriors she had heard about. They were professional, skilled, and incredibly kind. "I do not understand," she told Commander Mitchell when he came aboard to check on the repairs. "Why are you helping? You? We are strangers to you?" Jake looked genuinely surprised by the question. "You're in trouble. You asked for help. That's all we need to know. But the risks," Kira insisted. "You brought so many ships into dangerous space. The Krex Empire controls this region. They could attack at any moment." "Let them try," Jake said simply. "We don't abandon people in need." As if summoned by her words, Lieutenant Brooks' voice came over the communication system. "Commander, we have contacts incoming. Multiple ships, Krex configuration, approximately 2 hours out." Jake's expression grew serious, but not worried. Understood. "All ships maintain defensive positions around the Harmony's Grace. Continue rescue operations." Kira felt her hearts racing. "Commander, you should leave. Take your ships and go. We are grateful for your help, but we cannot ask you to fight for us." "You're not asking," Jake replied. "We're choosing. No one gets hurt on our watch." Dr. Corinne White finished her medical examinations and gave Kira her report. "Your crew is in good health, just tired and stressed from the emergency. The low oxygen didn't cause any permanent damage." Chief Rodriguez called from the engine room. "Commander, I can get their engines running at about 60% power. Not enough for hyperspace, but enough to get them moving. The real damage will need proper shipyard facilities to fix." Tyler Murphy looked up from his communication station. "Sir, I've got the translation matrix working perfectly now. The Vellani can talk to any of our ships directly." Jake nodded. "Good work, everyone. Dr. Velthara, we're going to escort you to the nearest safe port. Your ship can make the journey, and our fleet will make sure nothing bothers you on the way." Kira looked around at the humans working on her ship. They had appeared from nowhere, risked their lives to save strangers, and now they were preparing to fight an entire Krex war fleet to protect 12 alien scientists. "I must ask you something," she said to Jake. "Your people have a reputation in the galaxy. They say you are dangerous predators from a death world. They say you are violent and aggressive." Jake was quiet for a moment. "We can be, when we have to be. But being able to fight and choosing to fight are different things. We fight to protect, not to conquer." "The galaxy fears you," Kira said. "Maybe that's not entirely bad," Jake replied. "If the predators fear us, then the peaceful species can sleep safely." Outside the research vessel, 50 human warships maintained their protective formation. Their sensors reached deep into space, watching for threats. Their weapons were powered and ready. Their crews stood at battle stations, prepared to fight and die for people they had never met. The Krex war fleet was still approaching, confident that they could destroy or capture whatever ships they found. They had fought the Vellani before, and knew them to be weak and helpless. They had never faced humans in battle. They were about to learn why the galaxy called them Deathworlders. War Commander Thexval stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Bone Crusher, watching the sensor readings with growing excitement. His massive frame, covered in the thick gray hide that marked him as a Krex warrior, cast a shadow over the smaller crew members around him. "Report," he growled in the harsh Krex language that sounded like grinding metal. 50 contacts, War Commander, replied his sensor officer, trying to keep the fear out of his voice. Unknown ship designs, surrounding what appears to be a disabled Galani research vessel. Vexval's 4 eyes glowed with cruel satisfaction. The Vailani were weak prey, perfect for slavery or target practice. And whoever these unknown ships were, they had made the mistake of entering Krex territory without permission. 50 ships to protect one small research vessel? Dexval laughed, a sound like breaking glass. These aliens must be even weaker. Then the Velani. Prepare for attack formation. We will capture them all. The Krex war fleet consisted of 30 heavy cruisers and battle destroyers, each one armed with enough firepower to level a small city. They had conquered dozens of worlds and enslaved hundreds of species. In their experience, most aliens would surrender rather than fight. They had never encountered humans before. On the Iron Wolf, Commander Jake Mitchell watched the approaching Krex fleet with calm eyes. Around him, his bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, preparing for battle. All ships report ready, sir, said Lieutenant Amy Brooks. Defensive formation holding steady around the Harmony's Grace. Jake opened a channel to the entire human fleet. All commanders, this is Mitchell. Standard protection protocol. The Valani ship is our primary concern. Nothing gets through to them. Captain Ryan Stone's voice came from the Night Fury. Understood. My ship will take point position. Captain Nina Ross answered from the Savage Thunder. Battle cruiser group ready to engage. Jake then opened a broadcast channel to the approaching Krex fleet. His voice was calm, professional, and absolutely certain. This is Commander Jake Mitchell of the Human Defense Fleet. You are approaching a rescue operation in progress. We are protecting civilians under the Galactic Rescue Accords. Turn back now, or your actions will be considered an act of war. On the Harmony's Grace, Dr. Kira Velfara listened to the human commander's words with amazement. Through the viewports of her ship, she could see the human vessels arranging themselves in perfect formation. Each ship moved with precision, like dancers performing a deadly ballet. War Commander Dexval received the human transmission and roared with laughter. Humans? The mythical Deathworlders? Even if they exist, 30 of my ships can destroy 50 of anyone else's. He opened his own broadcast channel. This is War Commander Dexval of the Krex Empire. You are in our territory without permission. Surrender immediately, or we will destroy you and take the Valani as slaves. Jake's response was immediate. You have 30 seconds to withdraw. After that, we will consider your presence a hostile act. Vexval cut the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. Target their largest ships. We will show these humans what happens when they threaten the Krex Empire. The 30 seconds passed in silence. Then Jake Mitchell spoke one word that would become legend in this part of the galaxy. Engage. What happened next defied everything the Krex thought they knew about space combat. The human ships moved like living things, each one perfectly coordinated with all the others. The Night Fury accelerated directly toward the Krex formation, its weapons firing with deadly accuracy. Captain Stone's destroyer danced between the enemy ships, too fast and agile for their weapons to track. Its missiles struck with precision, targeting engines and weapon systems rather than going for quick kills. The Savage Thunder and her battle group attacked from a different angle, their heavier weapons punching through Krex armor like paper. Captain Ross commanded her ships with the skill of someone who had studied warfare her entire life. But it was not just their tactics that shocked the Krex, it was their attitude. The humans did not fight with the desperate fury of prey animals. They fought with the cold, calculated efficiency of apex predators who had turned killing into an art form. Dr. Kira watched the battle from her ship, protected in the center of the human formation. She had seen space battles before, but never anything like this. The human ships moved with purpose, each action planned and executed perfectly. "They are not fighting to survive," she whispered to her crew. "They are fighting to protect us." War Commander HFY realized his mistake within the first 5 minutes. 3 of his ships were already disabled, their crews evacuating in escape pods. The humans could have destroyed them completely, but they were showing mercy to defeated enemies. What are these creatures? He growled as another of his ships took critical damage. His tactical officer was frantically trying to track the human movements. "They fight like nothing I have ever seen, War Commander. Their ships are more advanced than our intelligence reported. Their tactics are ... they are perfect." A human destroyer, badly outnumbered, suddenly appeared on the bone crushers. Flank. HFY ordered all weapons to fire, but the smaller ship was already moving, its own weapons targeting the flagship's shield generators with surgical precision. "Impossible," HFY snarled. "How can they move like that?" He did not understand that humans had evolved on a world where hesitation meant death, where only the fastest and smartest predators survived. 10,000 years of warfare had taught them lessons that the Kreks, for all their strength, had never needed to learn. Chief Rodriguez, still working on the Valani ship, looked up from his repairs to watch the battle through a viewport. "Beautiful," he said to Dr. Kira. "Pure poetry in motion." "Beautiful?" Kira was confused. "This is warfare. Death and destruction." "No, ma'am," Ben replied, his eyes following the graceful movements of the human ships. "This is protection. Every shot, every maneuver, every decision is about keeping you safe. There's nothing more beautiful than that." The battle lasted 2 hours. When it was over, 15 Kreks ships had been disabled or destroyed. The rest were retreating at maximum speed, broadcasting warnings about the demon ships from the Death World to anyone who would listen. War Commander HFY's flagship limped away with half its systems offline and most of its weapons destroyed. He had learned something that day that would haunt him for the rest of his life. The humans were not just another species to be conquered. They were something far more dangerous. They were guardians. Jake Mitchell stood on his bridge, watching the Kreks fleet disappear into hyperspace. Around him, his crew was already working to assess damage and casualties. "Report," he said calmly. "Minor damage to 4 ships, no casualties among our forces," Amy reported. "The Kreks lost 15 ships, but we detected escape pods from all of them. No unnecessary deaths." Jake nodded. Even in battle, humans tried to preserve life when possible. It was what separated them from true monsters. "Signal the fleet. Return to escort formation around the Harmony's grace. We have a job to finish." Dr. Kira Velfara stood in the observation deck of her ship, staring at the human vessels that surrounded her like protective guardians. Her people had always believed that the universe was filled with predators and prey, hunters and hunted. Today, she had learned something new. Sometimes the greatest predators chose to be protectors instead. And sometimes the most dangerous species in the galaxy was also the most noble. The human fleet reformed around her ship, ready to escort her people to safety. Not because they had to, not because they were ordered to, but because they had chosen. 2, because it was who they were. The Deathworlders had come to save them, and nothing in the galaxy had been able to stop them. 3 days later, the massive human dreadnought Eternal Guardian dropped out of hyperspace near the Valani border. The ship was enormous, larger than most space stations, its hull dark as the void and covered with enough weapons to fight a small. War. Dr. Kira Velfara watched from the observation deck of the Harmony's Grace as the giant warship approached. Her own vessel's engines were running smoothly now, thanks to the human engineers who had worked tirelessly to complete the repairs. "Dr. Velfara, incoming transmission. called Communications Specialist Tyler Murphy from the Human Technical team that had remained aboard to help with the journey home. The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of a human woman with gray hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. She wore a uniform covered with decorations that spoke of a long and distinguished career. Dr. Velthara, I am Admiral Lisa Carter of the Earth Defense Fleet. I wanted to personally ensure your safe return to Velani space. Kira bowed respectfully. Admiral Carter, your people have already done more than we could ever have hoped. You saved our lives and asked for nothing in return. We did what anyone should do, Lisa replied. But I understand from Commander Mitchell that you have a proposal. For us, over the past 3 days, as the human fleet escorted her ship toward safety, Kira had thought long and hard about what she had witnessed. The galaxy had been wrong about humans. Completely, utterly wrong. And if she was right about what that meant, it could change everything. Admiral, I would like to propose a formal alliance between the Velani Republic and the Human Federation. Not just a trade agreement or non-aggression pact, but a true alliance. Admiral Carter raised an eyebrow. That's a significant step, Dr. Velthara. What exactly are you proposing? Kira took a deep breath. For centuries, my people have lived in fear. We are peaceful, yes, but peace means nothing when predators like the Krex can attack us at will. We have always believed that we had no choice but to hide and hope we would be left alone. She gestured toward the human ships surrounding them. But you have shown us something different. You have shown us that strength can be used to protect instead of conquer, that the most dangerous predators can choose to be guardians instead of destroyers. What are you asking for? Admiral Carter asked gently. Protection? Kira said simply. We offer our knowledge, our research, our friendship. In return, we ask for the protection of your fleets. Not just for us, but for any peaceful species that needs help. Admiral Carter was quiet for a long minute. Dr. Velthara, you understand what you're asking? If we agree to this, it means human ships would patrol Velani space. It means we would respond to any threats against your people. Some might see that as occupation rather than protection. Then they do not understand what we have seen, Kira replied firmly. Your Commander Mitchell could have demanded payment for the rescue. Your Captain Stone could have claimed our ship as salvage. Your engineers could have stolen our technology, while they repaired our systems. Instead, they treated us with respect and kindness, and asked for nothing. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Admiral, the galaxy fears humans because they do not understand you. They see your weapons and your warships and assume you are conquerors. They do not see the mercy you showed to the Krex escape pods. They do not see the care your medical officers showed my crew. They do not see the gentle way your engineers touched our ship, as if it were precious rather than just equipment. Admiral, Carter smiled. You see us more clearly than most, Dr. Velthara. I see what you choose to be, Kira replied. And I want my people to choose to stand with you. The ceremony took place in space, halfway between the human fleet and a gathering of Velani ships that had come to welcome their researchers home. Admiral Carter came aboard the Harmony's Grace personally, accompanied by Commander Mitchell and his senior officers. The Velani delegation included High Counselor Mira Velthan, the leader of their government, along with representatives from their major research institutions and colonies. This is unprecedented, High Counselor Velthan said as she reviewed the alliance documents. Never in our history have we formed a military alliance with another species. With respect, Counselor, Dr. Kira replied, never in our history have we met anyone worthy of such trust. Commander Jake Mitchell stepped forward. High Counselor, I want you to understand exactly what this alliance means. If you are threatened, we will respond. If you are attacked, we will fight. But we will never interfere with your government, your culture, or your way of life. This is about protection, not control. High Counselor Velthan looked at the human commander with her large, dark eyes. And what do you ask in return? Friendship. Jake said simply. Scientific cooperation when possible. Cultural exchange if you're willing. But mostly just the knowledge that there are good people in the galaxy who deserve to be safe. The signing ceremony was simple but meaningful. Representatives from both species placed their signatures on documents that would reshape galactic politics. As the final names were written, Admiral Carter presented Dr. Kira with a small device. This is a human emergency beacon, she explained. Any Velani ship carrying one of these will have the protection of the entire human fleet. The signal reaches across half the galaxy instantly. Dr. Kira held the device carefully. It was small and simple, but she understood its true power. It was a promise. A guarantee that her people would never again face danger alone. Thank you, she whispered. For everything. The news of the alliance spread quickly through Velani space and beyond. Within days, other species began sending diplomatic messages to both governments. Some wanted to understand how the peaceful Velani had gained the protection of the galaxies. Most feared warriors. Others wanted to know if similar arrangements might be possible. Chief Rodriguez finished the last of his work on the Harmony's Grace and prepared to return to the Iron Vault. Dr. Kira found him in the engine room, checking his repairs one final time. Will we see you again? She asked. Doc Ben smiled. I hope so, ma'am. Your people build beautiful ships. It would be an honor to work with Velani engineers in the future. Dr. Karen White completed her final medical checks on the Velani crew. You're all in perfect health, she told them. But if you ever need medical assistance, don't hesitate to call. Human medical ships patrol this sector regularly now. Tyler Murphy had spent the entire journey learning more of the Velani language and teaching them human phrases in return. Your people are natural linguists, he told Dr. Kira. I think our species will have a lot to learn from each other. As the human ships prepared to return to their patrol routes, Commander Mitchell made one final visit to the Harmony's Grace. Dr. Velfara, it has been an honor, he said formally. The honor has been ours, Commander. But I must ask you something. That has puzzled me since our first meeting. What's that? Why do you do this? Your people could easily conquer the galaxy. Your technology is superior. Your military is unmatched. You could rule over all of us if you chose. Instead, you risk your lives to protect strangers. Why? Jake was quiet for a moment, looking out at the stars through the observation port. Dr. Velthara, humanity spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other. We got very, very good at it. But somewhere along the way, we also learned something else. We learned that real strength isn't about who you can defeat. It's about who you choose to protect. He turned back to her. We've seen what happens when the strong prey on the weak. We've been both predator and prey in our own history. We decided long ago that if we were going to be the strongest, we were going to use that strength to make sure others didn't have to be afraid, even if it costs you? Kira asked. Even if it means endless battles against species like the Krex? Especially. Then, Jake replied, because someone has to stand between the predators and the innocent. If not us, then who? As the human fleet departed, Dr. Kira stood on her observation deck and watched the great warships disappear into hyperspace. Each one carried within it the promise that peaceful species across the galaxy could sleep safely, knowing that guardians watched over them. The story of the rescue spread throughout known space. The tale of how a simple distress call had summoned. 50 human warships grew with each telling. Some species dismissed it as propaganda. Others began to reconsider their opinions about the mysterious Deathworlders from Earth. But in a small research laboratory on Velani Prime, Dr. Kira Velfara worked on a new project. She was writing a comprehensive report about human culture, behavior, and motivations. Not for her own government, but for the Galactic Council. The title of her report was simple: Why the Galaxy Needs the Humans. In it, she wrote, we had spent centuries fearing the wrong species. We worried about the predators who would devour us, never realizing that the greatest predators of all had chosen to protect us instead. The humans are not our enemies. They are our guardians, and the galaxy is safer because they exist. 3. Months later, Commander Jake Mitchell received another distress signal. This time it came from a Zephyrian trading vessel trapped in an asteroid field near Corvin space. The aliens were completely unknown to humanity, a species they had never encountered before. Jake looked at the signal data and smiled grimly. All ships set course for these coordinates, maximum speed. Sir, Lieutenant Amy Brooks said,